Thank you all for joining today. Happy to have you, and I hope you're all doing safe and well. So in today's webinar, I will go over our top 5 can't-miss CaFÉ features. These are features that if you are new to CaFÉ, you might not have heard of or haven't yet used, or if you've been using CaFÉ for a while, you may recognize them, but I hope you gain some insider tips on how to get the most out of what CaFÉ offers. So I will go over the top 5 can't miss features. And before I do that, I just wanted to give a quick overview of the new service agreement and our pricing plans that we have set up at the beginning of our fiscal year. So these plans were rolled out in October. And since then, we've been asking all of our clients like you to choose one of these new plans and to sign a new service agreement. You may have already gone through this process with us, but if you have yet to sign a new service agreement, just know that we may ask you to do so when setting up your next call. So with these new pricing plans, some things have changed and some things haven't. We now have 2 options, the small plan and the standard plan, and both are just listed here. This is the one of the forms that you'll be filling out. So the small plan is basically the same as our micro pricing plan. So yeah, like I said, small plan is basically the same as micro pricing. The cost to set up a call is $300 for the first call, but it's $250 for each additional call purchased in the 12-month term. The setup fee here, the $175, that is waived for all active licensees, such as yourselves, and it will be waived at each annual renewal period. The $2 application fee and the $3 per audio and video fees, those are all the same as it was before in the micro pricing plan. So although the only difference between the small plan and the micro pricing plan is the same, we will still ask you to sign a new service agreement if you are on the micro pricing plan. This is because the new plan will now be renewed on a yearly basis, whereas before it just rolled over, and the yearly basis is 12 months after the new service agreement is received. So we also have a new plan that we offer called the standard plan. The cost of the first call is $525 here, or $475 for each additional purchase within the term. This plan includes the cost of up to 250 applications, so you'll only be charged that $2 per application fee after the original 250. And then here, the audio and video fees are included in the cost of the call, and they won't be charged in addition. So this plan, the standard plan, may be better if you typically see a higher number of applications submitted per call. Keep in mind, though, that you'll have to choose one plan for all of your calls, and we can't have you have separate plans for separate calls depending on how many applications you receive. So when you submit this paperwork to us, you'll pick one of the plans, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. We can take a look at your call history and see what might work best for you. So yeah, you have 2 different options now. So when signing your new service agreement, we need 2 pieces of paperwork from you. And the first is that service agreement, which I have here. And this is that all of the list of terms that we'll need you to fill out. It's the first page, and then the 8th page is where you'll sign. But when you submit this to us, we do ask that you send us the full document. So it's this document here, the service agreement. And then we'll also need that client information form, which looks pretty familiar to what you've seen before. This you can enter call information, even though we do have that online call request form, but then we'll also need to make sure that you select which plan you're choosing going forward. So just these 2 pieces are all we need. And when you're ready to set up a new call, you could give yourself enough time if you know you need to sign a new service agreement. And if you'd like to review these documents ahead of time, we can send these to you now. So just send us an email and we will get the documents to you so you can get that ready when you're ready to host your next call. And let us know if you have any questions about the plans. We'd be happy to answer them. All right. So our first can't miss CaFÉ feature is kind of made up of a few different features of how to reach more artists and get your call in front of people that want to apply to it. So one of the benefits of hosting your call on CaFÉ, as you know, is the exposure your call will have to artists all over the country. I'll quickly go over all of the ways your call can be seen by artists as included in the CaFÉ service, as well as an additional option through our add-on service. So first, when your call goes live, it is automatically shown, unless you have it set up as invitational only, on our call listings page here. This page can be seen by anyone with or without a CaFÉ account. Not only is it visible to the public, but this page is visited year-round by artists looking for opportunities. Secondly, hosting your call with us means that you will be included in our weekly opportunities email sent to all opted-in CaFÉ artists every Tuesday. This is a free service we provide that artists elect to receive. And if you haven't already seen it, this email has a new look, which I'll show you right now. So we have changed our email to have two new sections. Well, one new section, two overall. The newly listed opportunities, and down below is the upcoming deadline section. So this first new section is new, and it shows calls that were recently published on CaFÉ. And in order for our system to include a call in this section, you'll need to pay attention to the accept applications date setting, which needs to be set within 7 days before the email is sent. So this section here lists all the calls that have an accept applications date 7 days prior. And I will show you what that means in a second here. So this means if you have a call that is about to go live and you want to make sure it's included in this section here at the top, you'll want to make sure that the accept applications date is accurate. If your date is far in the past or in the future, you won't be included in this section. And I'll show you now where to find it. So if you log in and you go to your events management page and you select your call, you'll then click on Call Editor, and you'll make sure you're in the Event Information tab. So towards the bottom of the page is the Accept Applications date here. So this date is the day your call will become active and open for applications, as long as your front-end status here is active. So if you set your front-end status to active, but it's before this date, it won't become live until you have this date arrives. But if you have this date in the past or the present and your front-end status is active, that means your call is live on CaFÉ. So some organizations set this date here in the past, they forget about it, they don't change it, and they only use the front-end status to toggle their call listing live or not live. And that in the past has been fine, but now that the state determines if you will be included in this newly listed opportunity section, you'll want to make sure that the date for the accept applications date is accurate. All right, and so the second section of our weekly opportunities email is the same as it was before, as it shows the calls with upcoming deadlines to remind artists to apply to these calls. Now that this email is sent weekly instead of bi-weekly, this section will show calls with deadlines set to 3 to 15 days out. This is so artists have enough notice of upcoming calls, but aren't shown a lengthy email with many calls and future deadlines. These two sections here ensure that your call can be included up to 2 times, when your call first opens and when your deadline is upcoming. Just be sure that the dates in your call editor settings are accurate. And you'll also notice we make some visual changes to make the email more readable, and we've included your call's logo if you provided one on your call details page. We hope this makes for a more pleasant browsing experience by the over 136,000 opted-in artists it is sent to. All right, there's one other way to get your call in front of more artists. The promotional ad e-blast here is an add-on service we provide for any of your calls that are active on CaFÉ. For a low cost, you can pick the geographic region and artistic disciplines of artists you'd like to reach, and we will send an email with your call details and organization information. Here is an example email of what the e-blast would look like. So it would include your logo here, your call details, and a short description of your call, which you can personalize if you want. We will also list your organization's information here. So like I mentioned, you can choose which states to send your email to, and you can also choose which artistic disciplines of artists to send it to. We currently have 32 artistic disciplines that are self-identified by artists when they sign up for CaFÉ. So the price of this e-blast is then determined on how many artists are chosen in the criteria you choose. This is the information page, and it will show you all of the different tiers that we have, which are determined by the target audience size. So to request an e-blast, all you need to do is click Reserve My e-blast to find the form. And you'll see here, you'll fill in your call detail information, and then you'll also choose your budget, you'll choose the region that you want to send it to, and you'll choose some of those artistic disciplines that pertain to your call. We will then reach out to you with different pricing options based on your selection, and we'll work with you to create your email. Many organizations have said that this e-blast has helped increase the number of submissions, so it's a good option for making sure artists see your call. And I noticed a question. Amy, can we fill out the form to get a quote? Yes, so all you need to do is just submit that form. It's not committing you to anything. It just lets us know what you're looking for in the e-blast, and then we respond with a quote. And if it's in your budget, what you've already chosen, we usually just send that pricing choice that you've already picked and confirm that in a quote. Or we send 2 to 3 options for pricing based on some of the details about your call and things that you filled out. So we'll send you some options, and we can go back and forth on what budget and criteria work for you. Our second Can't Miss feature is the ability to email all of the artists who applied to your call in just a few easy steps. While you will all use this feature to notify the invited and not invited artists, you can actually use this feature in a number of ways. Okay, so we'll go over emailing artists, which is all done in the Events Communication tab here. You'll just make sure that the right call is selected here. And then you will see the table with all of the applications sorted by status. And this is the same as the table that you find in the Events Management tab that you're most likely using all the time. So here you'll select one or multiple of the statuses you want to send your email to. For example, if you want to send an email after your call closes to all the applicants to let them know their application is received and when they might expect the jury results to be announced, you can click on Received and email that batch of artists. Some might also email this batch if their event plans have changed. I know that due to COVID-19, cancellations and postponements are more common, so you can use this feature to make sure everyone is notified of any of your call or event changes. After you select your batch of artists, you'll click Select. I'm actually going to use this one. And you'll see that the email form pops up. You'll fill out these forms, making sure to include a reply to email address. Since this email does not receive reply emails, if an artist responds to your email and you've included a reply to email address, that response that they send to you will come directly to you. I'll just make sure that this is filled out. You can also include a CC or a BCC, and you can choose to send yourself a copy of the email. Okay. See here, the body of the email is where you will write or copy and paste your message into. If you're sending to an entire batch of artists, make sure the greeting is generic and the message is generic. I'm not going to type the full email here, but if you decide that you need to include a website here, just know that this here will not hyperlink, but it will be active when you send it. So you can include any URLs as long as it's correct. So just know it won't be clickable until you actually send it. You can actually also attach a small file under 2 megabytes in any of these formats here. And that'll be helpful if you need to send additional information or paperwork to the artist that they need to fill out. So that option is there. Once you finish editing your email, click Preview. And you'll see here on the preview that the system will auto-populate the CaFÉ artist's username, the title of the pieces they submitted, and the status, which I will show you in a second. If your call was set up as jury by artwork, where each piece was separated, assuming you're notifying both the invited and the invited artist, which we highly recommend you do, they will receive two emails. They will receive two emails, if they have one piece invited and one piece not invited, and it will be listed on each email which name of which piece was invited and which one was not invited, and that's so they can decipher which piece was invited and which wasn't. So I'll show you this demo email. You can see here that this is where it was personalized to the artist, which is also myself. And this is the title here. This is the category of the work that I had set up categories for. And here is the status. And then the message here is generic. I did attach a file, and then the URL here can be clicked. You can see here. So speaking of application statuses and everything, there's not one way, there's not a way to remove this auto-population of the artwork statuses. I mention that because if you email anyone for any other purpose other than notifying the final results, they will see where their application currently stands, no matter what email you're sending, and no matter if you're in the jury process or not. So this is usually not a problem if you're sending to artists in the receive status or the invited or not invited. But if you have them in a status that is like other or in the reviewed status, just know they'll be able to see that, so they might question it. Doesn't always happen, but just so you know, the status will be public when you email them. So another thing I'll point out is that unless the artist is receiving two different emails, one for invited, one for not invited, the system will automatically dedupe emails, so only one email is sent to each artist per batch. So if you notice the email was sent to a number of artists less than the number of statuses you chose, or a number of applications, it's simply because there were some artists who had multiple entries and will only be sent one email. Okay, so back on here, you'll be able to, from the preview, be able to send it. You'll be able to save a draft or go back and make changes. If you click Save Draft, you will be taken back to the Events Communication tab, and all of your drafts will be here. And you're also able to email individual artists, and I'll show you how to do so. So you'll want to, in order to email one artist an individual email, you'll go to your Events Management tab first, and then you'll select your call, and then you'll either search for the applicant that you need, or you'll just find them within one of these statuses. And once you have their application listed, you'll just click on their ID number. This takes you to their application page. You can see the full application here. You'll then want to locate the email address at the top, and you'll see that it's clickable. So if you click that email, you'll be taken to a separate email form that will just be sent to the one artist. So from here, fill out everything as normal. You can preview it and send it from here. So this is email handy if you need to email just one artist about anything. Just make sure to include that reply to email address so they can respond back to you. And then if you go back to their application page, you can find the list of emails that you've sent them under the emails section here of their application. And this is true for all the emails you send to a batch of artists or individually. Every email that is sent to them will be visible under the communication email tab of their application. So our third feature, and that is helpful to know when using CaFÉ, is the ability to download reports of the applications submitted. So we have several different reports that you can use to take the applications offline, organize contact information, and keep track of the artwork. I will now go over these reports to give you an idea of what is available to you. So once we're in the Events Management tab, you'll then want to select the status of applications you want the information from. So click on the name of the status here, or you can click View All. I'll click on Received. And then here on the top right of this table, you will see two options, Download XLSX or Download PDF. Under Download SLX, it's the spreadsheets. You can download the spreadsheets of contact information, application answers, and the media information. So contact information will give you a spreadsheet of the artist's names, mailing address, email, phone, and website. Application answers will give you the artist's basic info and email, but will also list their answers to your custom form questions if you had any. And then the media information report will list the artwork details that the artist included with their images. So this is things such as medium, dimensions, price, and the year completed. That will all be included in the spreadsheet. So these three reports will be in spreadsheet format and might be helpful if you need to sort information or if you need to quickly retrieve emails. If you need those emails all in one batch to use for your own use, you could just download that contact information spreadsheet, get them pretty quickly. And under Download PDF, there's two options, Applications and Media Inventory List. The applications you can download as either for the juror or for you as an admin, so you can have the option to remove contact information, and it'll make sense in a second. But when you download it as an admin and open, what you will see here is a full PDF file of all of the applications listed, one per page. And it'll show the thumbnail images of the artwork submitted along with all of the details. So this contact information can be hidden if you wanted to download it for your jury. Sometimes it's nice to have them as paper or just to be able to take them offline if your juror wants to score view applications offline, or if you want to review applications offline. So the applications PDF report is helpful for this. And then the other one is the media inventory list, which is the PDF of the media information I talked about before. So like medium, price, etc. So this will show you the thumbnail images of the artwork in a grid format, and then with all the information listed and the name. This is often helpful if you're hanging a show and you need to kind of take this list around and check mark what you've got hung, or if you're having the works delivered, you just need a paper format quickly referencing the pieces that were invited, so you can check those off. This might also be helpful for online jurying if you wanted to have extra paperwork if you're doing an offline jury process or something like that. So those are all the reports that you can find in the Events Management tab. And our next report, which is our fourth Can't Miss feature, is the Income Breakdown Report. So the Income Breakdown Report is an itemized list of artists' purchases, transactions, with the dates, fee types, and it lists if coupons were used. So if you collect any entry fees for your call, you'll want to be familiar with this report for your accounting needs. You'll find the reports under the Reports tab, and then under Income Breakdown. You'll select your date range here, and then there's options here where you can hide any check payments, since that's not through CaFÉ, it's all through collecting it yourself. You can hide the credit cards if you just want to look at the checks that were supposed to come in, and you can hide any $0 transactions unless you are using, unless you don't have an entry fee. You want to make sure you uncheck hide all $0, or else you won't be able to see anything. You'll select your call here, and then you can run report. Once it loads, you'll be able to see all the transaction information for each artist. You'll be able to see the date that it was purchased and the timestamp, which might be helpful. You'll see who. If you have an additional media fee, it will show you the quantity of those. So here it's just listing entry fees, but if you had an additional media fee, it would show you one entry fee purchased, and then it will show you how many of the additional media fees were purchased. And then up here will be the total amount. So at the bottom of the report, you'll see the full totals of the fees collected for your event. And this will show you the ones collected in the date range you selected. So make sure you have, if you're looking for the entire call, make sure you have the date range correct. It will also show you the credit card fee total, which is here, PC fee total. And this is the 3.25% transaction fee for all users paying by credit card. And these fees will be deducted on each monthly remittance check that we send to you. So it's important to note that this report will show you the fees you're collecting from artists that you will receive from us monthly, less those credit card fees. You will not see the service fees that you paid to us for the cost of the call, and you won't see any per artist or per media fees. If you've elected to auto-deduct these service fees from your remittance check, from your entry fees, then that will be reflected on the remittance report that we send you and not this report. So this income breakdown report can be handy when you need to verify whether an artist successfully completed their transaction. It's really handy to see the total number of fees paid, and it might help you determine how much you might be expected to see in your monthly remittance check. So you could set your date range to just the month before, and you'll be able to see how much money you'll have coming in from us by the end of the month. So like the other reports, you can download a spreadsheet of it by clicking this button here. And if you want to learn more about the income breakdown report and how it compares to the remittance checks and how the CaFÉ service fees are calculated, you can watch our other webinar that we have on our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called CaFÉ, and the webinar is called Products and Revenue Management. So that might be a helpful one if you're trying to really nail down some of your accounting questions. So our next feature, our final and fifth one, is something we've gone over in the past. We did talk about it the last webinar if you were there. But I think it's a helpful thing for organizations, especially now, who might be putting on online exhibitions. And this feature is the media burn or the image request. While you and your jury members can view the enlarged images of the submitted artwork, you may want the high-resolution versions of these images. So to do so, you can submit a ticket by clicking Ticket and choosing Image Request under the type here. So fill this out and let us know that you'd like those high-res images. Let us know which batch of images you want by listing the status of the applications you need. If you're using the images for a blind jury process, you can also let us know in this message field and let us know to not include the artist names in the files. And when requested, we will send you a link to download a zip file of the images, which will be sorted into the folders of the status and will be sorted by artist last name, whether or not you choose to include the names. So if you're conducting an online exhibition, this feature can be really helpful to get the full-size images ready for your website or your Instagram page or anything. It's a feature that's not normally known by many new administrators, so it's a really good option. Is there a charge for the burn media zip file? The answer is no. This is included in the CaFÉ service. This media request can be requested up to 3 times per call, which means we can run this burn for you 3 times per call. The link, it comes with its own rules of not being able to be clicked more than 3 times, and it expires a date. But other than that, it's free of charge. And that concludes our webinar of the top 5 can't miss features in CaFÉ. Whether you're new to CaFÉ or have been with us for a while, we hope you learned some handy tips and answered some of your questions. As always, our support team is still available for any of your pandemic-related questions or concerns or any of your general questions. Please continue to update us on any changes to your event so that we can keep track of them. We are grateful to be able to continue our work with you, and we are really inspired by the effort being put forth by the arts community every day. Don, you said how long does it take to receive the zip file? That's because that the ticket is sent as an email to us. It's kind of our general email response rate, which is, in my opinion, I think it's pretty quick. We respond to everyone within 24 hours. And we have our entire team trained to be able to make these image downloads for you. So can I explain tagging applications? Sure. I'm assuming you're meaning the tags that you can add to an application. Basically, the tag is used for if you need to organize your applications or if there's anything that needs a short tag. So a tag is not like a comment, which is like this one here. A comment is like a longer thing to remember that you need to review the application again, or maybe the comment is that you need to check to make sure that this is eligible for or qualified for your call. But a tag is kind of a shorter thing. And to make a tag, you would go into the application here. And on the bottom is where you can create the tag. I don't know if many folks use this, but sometimes they might use it for like a prize winner if they're just tagging prize winners. You can create it, like I said, it's like short, so it's 12 characters. You can save it, and that means it'll always be there. And when you go back to your page here and it's tagged, you'll then be able to sort by tag. So say you had added a tag for about 5 winners, and you put them as tags. You could use that as a sorting mechanism. If you click the header of tag, it will sort to have all of the tags come up first, so you can just see all of the winners that you had tagged. It's similar to flag, but flagging doesn't really show why you're flagging it. It's just for your own personal reference. But tagging kind of makes it a little bit easier to decipher why it was tagged or flagged. It's just a little helpful thing if you ever need to just kind of organize some of these applications or remember to look into someone. Maybe this person had to pay an entry fee by check, but you're letting them be juried, but you're still waiting on the check. Your tag could say something like waiting on check or check due or something like that. Same thing with comments. I hope that was helpful. So unless there's any other questions, I will conclude the meeting. And thank you for joining us. Be sure to check out our next one in May.